Okay, good evening. Our previously recessed February meeting is called back to order. This is Wednesday, February the 21st. If you will please join me in a brief moment of silence. And if you will please stand and join me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The first item on our agenda is the adoption of the agenda, and a motion would be in order.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is public comment, and in the absence of our attorney, I'll ask Town Manager Cliff Ogburn to conduct this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now's the time set aside for public comment. For those wishing to address the board, ask that you come to the podium, state your name and address, and please limit your comments to 5 minutes. Speakers are asked to direct comments to the full board rather than individual commissioners or staff persons. Discussions between speakers and members of the audience is not permitted, and the board ordinarily does not answer questions during public comment. Is there anyone wishing to make public comment?
Okay, thank you very much. And seeing none, we'll close the public comment period. The next item on our agenda is new business, and the first item is consideration of a resolution in support of Marsys Law.
Mr. Mayor, this is on your agenda. You're placed to consider the attached resolution, which is Town of Nags Head resolution supporting Marsys Law. Marsys Law is in place as an advocacy to statewide dedicated to guaranteeing victims' rights. I believe you've been supplied with some more supplemental information that supports strengthening victims' rights. I believe this was placed on at the request of Mayor Pro Tem Walters. And
I did.
you have maybe more to add.
Okay, if you would.
Cliff already described it basically, but it has already been approved in Dare, Currituck, Columbus, Davidson, Alexander, and 3 other counties. I didn't have time to get all those names, but this was voted on last spring in the North Carolina House, and it was a bipartisan vote and overwhelmingly in favor of this legislation to strengthen the state law on behalf of crime victims. It's now in the hands of the General Assembly or the Senate to do the same, and then this would be an amendment to the Constitution, and so it would come before all of the citizens in the state of North Carolina. So I would just ask that we consider at least passing a resolution and send that on to our legislators to help move this forward. While there is legislation that protects victims' rights, this just provides a little more. All states are not equal when it comes to victims' rights, and we can do better in North Carolina. So.
Very good, thank you. Since you brought this before the board, and this is our next item of business, if you would please read the resolution, and then we'll open the floor for a motion.
This is a resolution supporting House Bill 551 and Senate Bill 595, otherwise known as Marsys Law. Whereas Marsys Law for North Carolina and advocacy organizations statewide are dedicated to guaranteeing victims' rights and providing a voice, and whereas Marsys Law for North Carolina supporters agree victims should always be treated with fairness and respect throughout the criminal justice process, protected from the defendant, reasonably heard at public proceedings regarding their case, and given a voice through the process of the case. And whereas, per the Federal Bureau of Investigation's most recent Crime in the United States report, in 2013, a total of 33,700 North Carolinians were victims of violent index crimes, including murder, rape, robbery, aggravated assault, burglary, larceny, motor vehicle theft, and arson. And whereas Marsys Law for North Carolina will ensure that victims receive the same rights that are afforded to criminals and have rights to notification of release, hearings, appropriate restitution, and the right to speak at criminal proceedings. And whereas victims' rights is a nonpartisan, nonpolitical issue, and Marsys Law is a common-sense approach to ensuring victims' rights. Therefore, be it resolved that the Nags Head Board of Commissioners hereby proclaims its support for HB 551, SB 595, Marsys Law, and encourages all of our citizens to join in the commitment to protect the rights of North Carolina crime victims.
Okay. Thank you very much. You've heard the resolution. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any comments from any board members? Seeing none, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? Thank you very much. We look forward to sending that and watching the Senate's action on that item. The next item on the agenda is consideration of a Board of Adjustment alternate member appointment. You have information that includes those who are currently eligible, those who are currently serving on the board. Is there a candidate that anyone would wish to nominate at this point?
I would like to nominate Tina Adderholt.
Okay, we have Tina Adderholt in nomination. Is there a second to that?
Second.
We have a motion and a second for Tina Adderholt. Are there other nominees that anyone would bring forward? Hearing none, all of those in favor of electing Tina Adderholt as an alternate to the Board of Adjustment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. I take it, do not have any items referred from the town attorney.
Sir.
How about from the town manager?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is the time then for the Board of Commissioners members to bring forward any items. I'll ask Mr. Sears, do you have anything to bring to the board?
I attended my first stormwater committee meeting this past week, and it was very interesting and unanimous that the Stormwater Committee is pushing that we look at a way, and maybe we approach the town to do so with a budget, but we look at a way that we can resolve our stormwater issues in the immediate future instead of pressing this out over a 3-year period as it has currently been planned. They are in favor of multiple ways of coming up with funding and moving funding around to do so, which I'll give to town their request to see what that budget item will be.
All right, great. Thank you very much, and appreciate you doing that, and we'll look forward to further information on that committee and its recommendations. Renee?
Thank you, Mayor. I do have one item. I read with interest on the Outer Banks Voice recently about the succession building at the Outer Banks Home Builders, and read some of their more pressing issues. And one of them struck a nerve with me right away, in a positive way, I might add, which was the 50% rule. And it took forever for the town to, in its land use plans, to get rid of the statement that is the goal of the town to get rid of nonconformities, which I applaud that we finally did that. But the other thing is that we just got through with a focus document where we talked about legacy buildings and things that we want to survive. And that, to me, is here on one hand, and if you adopt the 50% rule, which we have, they're 180 degrees apart from one another. And some of our, looking at homes that were damaged in Matthew, there was a struggle for people to repair their homes, and some of them were legacy homes. I'm not talking about myself, so I'm taking myself out of the equation. But, and it occurred to me, we fought this battle for a long time with hotels and so forth, but if we want our legacy buildings to survive, we need to think about what that 50% rule does. It's an impediment to repair, it's an impediment to improvement. It's just a total, basically saying we don't like you. And I don't think that's the goal that we have as a town. And I think we need to take a long, harsh look at that 50% rule and what we can do with it. I don't think it's a requirement. I think it's a town-adopted policy as part of our community rating system. And is it worth that in the community rating system to get rid of structures that we value and businesses that we value? I mean, we got rid of a lot of older hotels because of the 50% rule in some ways. We have a few left, and I see that as being in no way serving our philosophy as a town. And I would ask that the board take a serious look at what we can do with staff's input to figure out something with the 50% rule so that we can move forward and people can move forward in maintaining and updating their properties that we want to keep.
Great, thank you very much. This is also timely for the discussions that are underway in the technical committee over the next couple of months as well. So thank you very much.
Sooner the better.
Thank you. Commissioner Walters? Commissioner Fuller?
I'll just follow up on Commissioner yours. I attended my first tourism board meeting, and I sent the board a comprehensive analysis of the meeting. I would not expect to do that in the future. And I encourage y'all to, if you're really interested in what goes on at Tourist Bureau, the minutes are there. And so, and they're online for everybody. That being said, if there is something of major interest that does come up, I'll obviously inform the board. But I'm not planning on making a comprehensive review of every meeting.
Understood. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. And I do not have any items to bring forward this evening. So is there any other business, town manager, that needs to come before us this evening? Okay. Any other business that any commissioners are aware of that needs to come before us? In that case, a motion would be in order to adjourn to the flood map workshop.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion of at least a couple of seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. So we are into our flood map workshop.